Hey everyone, I'm Isaiah. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about how we have already collected $550 this week. Before we jump into that, let's take a look. We did hit another all-time high, as you can see, 57,964. We're closing in on 58,000. That would be another all-time high. We've actually hit two all-time highs. Before we jump into anything else as well, remember this is an income-generating account where our goal is to collect income today to invest in ourselves. So we sell options. When you sell a put, you're agreeing to buy a stock for a predetermined price. And when you sell a call, you're agreeing to sell a stock for a predetermined price. In either situation, you get paid a credit. So I rolled a couple positions today. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at our orders here. We rolled NFE. We agreed to buy the stock for $5 a share for this one, but I didn't feel like buying it yet, so I rolled it out another month, and I collected $74 from doing that. Rumble. I sold a $12 put back on February on this one, and I've rolled it pretty much every month since. This month, I collected $21 on the roll. When you roll a position, you're not changing your strike price or the price you're agreeing to buy or sell the stock at. You are changing your expiration. So these were expiring next week, and I did roll them. Those were the two plays I made today. Like I said, I rolled a couple positions, but the focus of today's video is actually what we're going to collect in dividends this Friday. So as I had mentioned, it is ex-dividend day. That means they announce on YieldMax how much we will get paid for our weekly dividends. So we have 518 shares of YMAX and 1,500 shares of ULTY. So we're going to take a look at Twitter, see how much we're going to get paid out, use our calculator, and that'll show us how much we will get paid on Friday. So let's take a look at that. Let's remember 1,500 and 518. So let's jump over to Twitter here. So as you can see, YMAX is 18 cents a share, and ULTY is 0.095 a share. So let's look at our calculator. So 518 times 0.1803. We're going to get $93 this Friday from YieldMax. And ULTY, we have 1,500 shares multiplied by 0.095 per share payout. Gives us $142. So plus that 92. We're looking at $230 we're going to get paid this Friday in dividends. So I always say you will outpace even the highest yielding of dividend funds by selling options. These YieldMax funds are some of the highest yielders out there. We vastly outpace it selling options, but I do think it's important to have both in the portfolio. Gives you a little bit more exposure, and it gives a little bit more excitement when you see your Wednesday ex-dividend announcement. So we're going to jump back in the portfolio here. I am hoping to open a new position this week still. I have opened two new positions, I believe. I have to double check my list, but I've either opened one or two new ones. Let's take a look at our week here. I know we opened FIP, sold a $6 put, never played that company before, so don't know what to expect. But I think that was, let's see, yeah. So, no, we have not opened anything new other than that FIP. Everything else, we've just rolled positions. I do want to open one more this week because I did roll positions that were technically for next week. So, I'm hoping to roll some tomorrow or at the latest Friday. Like I said, we've collected around $550, which is our weekly goal. So, we have hit that. But because I rolled some positions that were set for next week, I do think it's right that I should open a second position today or this week before Friday's close. Get us a little bit more cash going into the weekend. As I say, though, we did hit our weekly goal of $550. I shouldn't trade, but the reason I am is whenever I roll a position a week ahead, I feel like I should compensate for it this week. And open a new position rather than wait till next week to roll those positions. I saw them, and I saw some good opportunities for credits for them, and I couldn't resist, so I did roll them. That's why I collected that $77 on the one. Just really couldn't resist. So I don't plan on rolling any more of next week's positions, but I do have quite a decent amount expiring next week, so it's not going to hurt me too bad if I do roll them out a little bit, but I do try to only roll the positions that expire this week or that week. So that being said, dividend payouts this week, pretty good. We're selling options, collecting income, rolling positions. I'm hoping we have a down day tomorrow. I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I like when the portfolio is trending down so I can sell some puts at a cheaper price and then eventually run up so you kind of get a better feeling of what the account is actually valued at. But for me, as someone that likes to sell options, roll positions, and just keep that strategy going week after week, I don't like continuous run-up days in green. I don't own a ton of shares in this account. As you can see, most of it is options. Really, the big share comes from 518 YMAX shares and 1,500 ULTY shares. So when those go down, my portfolio is going to look like it's down. But I'm technically up in both because of dividend payouts. So even though both of them are showing a loss overall from share price, the dividends I've received from them have more than covered that gap. So I'm technically up on both. And at any point, I could just sell them and start doing more weekly option trading. But you know what? For now, ULTY has been pretty consistent. YMAX was relatively consistent before that. So the share price has dropped significantly on both, but the dividends are paying pretty consistent, and that was my concern. Share price up or down doesn't really faze me that much, but when dividends decrease and decrease and decrease, that's what's the alarming. But I'm not advertising those funds. Always remember, sell options, you'll make more money. I'm just adding both in there as kind of an example. Show you, hey, they do pay okay, but nowhere near what we're getting when we're selling options. So I'll wrap this video up here. Before I do go, that concludes what we talked about for finance. But before I do go, who we got winning tonight? I think the OKC, they let the Pacers steal that game one, and I'm expecting them to sweep the rest. Expect them to win the game tonight, and the other one in Indiana, and I expect them to close out in Game 5 in Oklahoma City. We will see if that happens. I am pulling for Indiana. I would love to see the Pacers win. I feel like everybody's picked against them in every series. I'm Ohio. I wanted my Cavs to beat them. Bummer. I feel like if we could have beat them, I felt like we were better than the Thunder, but, just personal opinion. Doesn't mean we would have got past the Knicks, but I felt like this was our year. There was no super stacked, loaded all-star teams going to the finals like the Golden State Warriors were, or the Heat in the early mid-2000s, things like that. I felt like it was wide open this year, and we did not capitalize. So that being said, I am pulling for Indiana, Eastern Conference team, much closer to where I am than the Thunder. And if we do have an update tomorrow, maybe we'll cross that $58,000 threshold, or we'll pull back a little bit. The only thing I need to do for sure this week, barring, is I need to buy another 100 shares of ULTY. I have said I want to get 2,000 shares of that, so that way when it pays between 9 and 10 cents a week, I'm hoping to get $190 to $200 every week from ULTY. But I really don't want to buy in that 620 range. So hopefully Friday, after they do their payouts, they pull back a little bit, and I could buy them at, 605. Like May 30th, they were at 604. Drop down there. Give me a nice dividend payment, and then drop down to like 610, 605, somewhere in there. I'll buy 100 shares. If it doesn't drop down and it stays up, I will wait till next week and try to buy 200 more shares. Like, I want to own this stock, I do, but I don't want to force a trade that's not there. So we will see what happens. Only time will tell. Nobody can predict the market. But like I said, appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next one.